Real Salt Lake's clock is nearly done. The pick is in. Let's go back to the podium for the number 5 pick in the draft.
With the 5th pick of the first round of the 2016 MLS SuperDraft, Real Salt Lake select from the University of North Carolina and a member of Generation Adidas, midfielder Omar Holness.
All right, so Matt, you were high on Holness. Why?
Yeah, because, as Taylor said, he just eats up ground, but he's not just a runner. He has a nice touch on the ball. He has a really good passing eye in transition. What he's not is a guy who excels in the final third. And we saw that in college. I mean, they wanted to play him almost as a second striker at times at North Carolina. He had 1 goal, 1 assist. He's not that type of player. But that's great. RSL don't need that type of player.
Yeah, he's a great fit for them, as we've talked about. He covers a lot of ground, athletic kid. The numbers weren't there offensively in college at North Carolina. He only scored 1 goal a year, right? But they're not going to need that playing next to Kyle Beckerman, learning from Kyle Beckerman. I think this is a great fit, and as Taylor mentioned, salary cap-wise, he's a Generation Adidas. He doesn't count against the budget. That's a big plus.
And these guys played, this guy's been on the Jamaican national team. He'd seen some senior-level stuff, played in the Gold Cup. Was on the team with the Gold Cup that finished second to Mexico. How important is that, stepping into Major League Soccer from the college game, or already having that type of international experience?
I think it's huge, Russ. I think that's a great point to be brought up because he's not going to be gun-shy. And when he showed up at the Combine, he started out wide, didn't look very comfortable, but then he played a little bit in the middle, and immediately you look down at the coaches, and all of them are looking at each other. That's where you got the feeling that a lot of them feel that Holness can have an impact as a number 8, a two-way midfielder. He could have a big year for Real Salt Lake, especially learning and playing next to Kyle Beckerman.
Yeah, and he could do the Roger Espinoza work that teams need to play that 4-3-3.
Maybe too far along, but you're right, though.
And I don't know if he's going to be as nasty as Espinoza is, and let's face it, that's a part of being successful in MLS. You have to have that little bit of edge if you're going to be that type of player. But everything else is there, and I really like the way he receives the ball in traffic, which is something that I think some scouts had questions about, but he answered a lot of questions, I think, at the Combine.
With the 10th pick of the first round of the 2016 MLS SuperDraft, the New England Revolution select from the University of North Carolina, defender Jordan McCrary.
All right, Jonathan, what are they getting?
They're getting an outside back, great experience, exploded onto the scene with their national championship team early in his career. ACL injury cost him his senior year, but he came back this year for a 5th year. It was all region. Good player, going to be a professional, impressed in the interview. Again, we're talking depth players here. He can provide cover on both sides.
Knows who he is. He's not going to get all the way to the end line and whip in cross after cross after cross. This is not Elvis Powell. This is a replacement for Kevin Alston. This is a guy who's going to be a good pro. This is a guy who's not going to change much about how New England play. He's going to slot right in. He's a good fit. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and he's also a player that provides depth at the fullback position. I'm going to surprise you a little bit. I think McCrary may day one be the starter at right back.
So with the 12th pick of the first round of the 2016 MLS SuperDraft, the Chicago Fire select from the University of North Carolina, defender Jonathan Campbell.
Okay, before we get into Jonathan Campbell from North Carolina, Taylor, explain to me what just happened with allocation and flips of all those kinds. What happened here?
The number 1 rumor floating around the Combine, everyone was talking about Pulido going to the Colorado Rapids, but the number 1 rumor floating around, particularly over the last 72 hours, is Alejandro Bedoya coming back to Major League Soccer. They are in negotiations of that. Now you've got the number 1 allocation spot. Colorado is either going after Pulido or they're going after Bedoya. This trade right here tells me they want Bedoya, and I fully expect that to come to a resolution over the next week or so of Bedoya coming back to Major League Soccer. Did you get all that?
Hey,
I don't know what I just said.
Shoot, the way things are going today, that might happen in the next hour or so. Let's talk about Campbell here from North Carolina. What are the Fire getting in him?
Yeah, they're getting a big guy. He's comfortable with both feet. He played at North Carolina where they used a 3-man back line. He played a couple different spots there, but he projects as a big, sturdy center back. There are some questions when he gets pulled out wide, like there are about a lot of big center backs, but he's the most pro-ready senior center back in this class.
I agree with that, and I think he just looks comfortable out there. He's a type of guy who makes the game actually look pretty easy. That said, he had a couple of pretty bad mistakes at the combine. He misjudged a goal kick that just went right over his head, led to a goal. He had a couple of bad turnovers, playing the ball to his midfielders in spots where they can't do anything except lose the ball. And so it was weird. He looked good, didn't play good. One of those players. But that said, if you look at his college career, you know what you're getting with this
They
kid.
did their homework. He played in the PDL with the Sounders. He's first-team All-America and first-team academic All-America. North Carolina had never had that before. I think they're getting a good one.
Talking about a guy in the honors program at UNC in business administration, a minor in Spanish. He's a Tar Heel of distinction, which is a very high honor for a guy as far as his leadership qualities are concerned, and he comes in as an experienced player. What do you make of what the Chicago Fire are doing right now with all these moves?
I need cliff notes. I'm writing it down right now. I mean, they've done a lot.
Yes, they have.
Listen, and you're talking about a guy, Nelson Rodriguez, that knows this league inside and out, so he's making moves. Jonathan Campbell's a player that is ACC tested. They need depth at the center back position. They, as I mentioned before, they're going after a couple European center backs. But Jonathan Campbell's tested. He's a player that can maybe grow into it. He had a very similar combine to Austin Berry. Yeah. And remember, Austin Berry went to Chicago. A lot of that was Friedrich playing next to him, but who knows? Maybe Campbell's a guy where he finds a relationship with one of the European center backs and puts in a good year. I'm okay with the pick, and I am very okay with what the Chicago Fire have done. They've gone out and got some good players early on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you can see the roster taking shape a little bit, and getting those two young guys on the back line, I think, is pretty huge for this franchise because, like I said, they already had the core in midfield, and I think that they have a center forward I like in Gilberto. Now they have two defenders I like quite a bit as well, and suddenly maybe it doesn't happen in 2016, but 2017, 2018, starting to look pretty good for Chicago.